Hi guys, the US inauguration is tomorrow, so I thought I better get this video out before then. Don't panic. Now, I have mentioned in the past that there's things that have to happen, and then there's my assessment, what I think is going to happen. So a lot of what I'm going to share today is my assessment based on the information I'm seeing, how I think things are going to pan out, but that does not change from the overall plan of what is going to happen, which is the collapse of the economy and society to an utter depraved state. So this whole manufactured problem will then have a manufactured solution, and so you'll see this huge consolidation of power. So how long that takes and all the details, the specifics of the timeline, that's more assessment level than has to happen a certain way. So I've said in the past, we seem to be on the fast track, not the fastest track, but on a fast track. What happens tomorrow, if there are violent breakouts tomorrow, it'll put us on the faster of tracks. But even if tomorrow is a nothing burger, which based off of my assessment, I would say it's more likely to be a relatively uneventful day tomorrow. There might be some isolated protests across the country, but I don't expect to have the same kind of light riot that you saw on the 6th. Okay, so with Twitter, it is now quite obvious their objectives. It is not just about Trump. It is about controlling the narrative altogether. And like I've mentioned before, this is not about money. There are those that are giving them their marching orders. Money is not their primary concern. So as you can see, put it back to 1 month. Twitter has not been having a good time since the 6th. And so the mask is really starting to slip. So this mass paranoia. So 12 U.S. National Guard members have been removed from securing U.S. President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration after vetting by the FBI, including 2 which made extremist statements, doesn't say what those extremist statements are, in posts or texts about the Wednesday event. There were no specific threats to Biden. So the mask is starting to slip. You're starting to see what all this information, all this data collection is on citizens. What's being used for, making sure you fall in line. Okay, so timeline here. Initially the moratorium on evictions and foreclosures was going to be ending the end of this month in January. So when that started kicking off, that's going to create this rolling effect on the economy, and that's when the economy starts crumbling. The fact that it's being pushed back or planned to be pushed back, we'll see what happens this coming week, but both in terms of student loans as well as the evictions and mortgage payments and all that, that plan is being pushed back to September. I'm not sure if the economy will hold up that long. Possible, but I'm looking also at the housing that's going up in my area, and that's going to be like tons of high density housing going up in my area. And I expect that to be done by mid this year. So the infrastructure for what's coming is about set up. Uh, so for a while now, for the past couple decades, initially it was mocked as China's ghost cities. They are now filling them up rapidly. And so what's going to be happening is there's going to be more and more pressure if you want big daddy government to take care of you as things get tougher. There's going to be more and more pressure to go into the cities. You're going to have this subsidized housing. But you have to follow the guidelines. So Germany plans forced accommodation for repeated quarantine dodgers. Now, you may, depending on where you stand, you might agree with this at the point, or where do you draw the line? Where do you say, okay, the government has had too much overreach? And so you're going to have more and more isolationism. Of course, more COVID strains, more fear, lockdown, lockdown, lockdown. So if you wanted to travel um, or move, have a loved one move to where you are, or move to where a loved one is, you're going to need to make a decision pretty quick in the coming months. You are running very short on time to make that decision. As for authoritarian reach, when it comes to money, it is already taking place. So if you do not comply with the guidelines, currently the guidelines are mostly about masks, and then of course it's vaccination, and then there's going to be more and more guidelines as time goes on. You have to do X in order to be part of the common good society. So HSBC threatens to shut down bank accounts if they do not comply with the masking order. And already the state is reaching into private citizens and their businesses accounts. So a guy, this gym, they had hundreds of thousands donated to them for their legal battle, and the state reached into the account and withdrew all the funds. The excuse being the fines, and this is getting to dangerous territory when the state can just reach in and say, nope, that money is ours. So now a number of you might try to jump on the bandwagon and thinking, okay, crypto is the way to go. Then the state can't get our money. Now, I've been mentioning for probably better part of a year now that crypto is okay for kind of a day trading thing. It's not a long-term thing anymore. You have to be on top of the ball. If your knee-jerk response, you want to jump into crypto now, bad idea. If you're going to do crypto now, you need to know what you're doing. I'm talking on the meta level, what's happening with the economy in general. You're going to want to talk to someone who really knows their stuff with crypto if you want to get into it now. It is not a long-term thing. There might be a brief moment where you can do some trading once the economy goes, but it's going to be a very short time span, because ultimately you need the necessities of life, and plus the infrastructure that you need. You're going to need the whole electronic infrastructure that this runs on, and if that is state run, then you can't trade for the necessities of life, then what value is that virtual currency, as well as the fiat currencies? So anyway, regarding crypto, of course, there's already plans to get the state to get their fingers in that. Well, of course, there's been plans all along, but you're going to see more movement into undermining that loophole. Now, you might have heard over this past week, yes, Bill and Melinda Gates are now the largest um, farm owners, farmland owners in the United States. And if you've been following along this past year, you know, you know why. This is what I've been warning about. Okay, so you're going to want to, um, like I mentioned, uh, if you have plans to move, you're going to, or you're on the fence, you're going to need to make a decision pretty dang quick. You're running out of time. There's going to be much more, as tight as the travel restrictions already are, there's going to be only more restrictions coming up. So this spring, you're going to want to start planning out a garden. The garden is partly for the actual sustenance, but also it goes along with everything I've been trying to do all along, which is you tasting good and you being able to plant something and see it grow and come to fruition and eat what you have almost created. It it's going to give you hope. And along the same line, don't just get, if you're stockpiling. First of all, don't stockpile too much. You're only going to put a target on your back if you're known as a hoarder. But get yourself something that you enjoy, something you like, some candy. Like I love Reese's Pieces, so I got a little bit of stock of Reese's Pieces, so I can have a treat, every night. Oh, sorry, not every night, every Friday night. Uh, I want to keep that tradition alive of meeting Friday nights and toasting and being grateful for something. So, of course, it doesn't have to be with me. Do it with your own little group of friends. But you're going to need that between this and between, a little treat, something to give you hope in the tough times ahead. Now, so January now, depending on where you are, you're going to want to see what grows well in your area and what your frost dates are. So mine in my area, the last frost date is April. Assuming you want to grow outside, there's you can grow microgreens any time of the year indoors. So that's something you might want to consider. But yeah, outdoors you want to basically start seeds if you're going to start from a seed over a month before you go outdoors. And so you want to line that up for when the last frost takes place. So for my location, it's in the middle of April, so I'd want to start earlier in March. My my seeds indoors. If I was going to do that, which I am, but yeah, I've already got a pear tree. I'm going to transplant some of the stuff I did this past year. Anyway, there's a number of resources. I'm going to try to find some of these resources on Bitchute and the other sites because I don't want to be giving YouTube any attention anymore. But next level gardening is what I really like, especially when you tackle issues like this, unorthodox growing out of season and stuff like that, which we may face. So tomorrow, if things go bad, things are going to escalate very quickly. But again, my assessment, I would say it's more likely things are going to go not that bad tomorrow, in which case we're going to have a gradual worsening up through this coming summer. And then we're likely to have the economic crash later this year, economic and societal crash. So you really want to make sure you're getting your stuff in line, your relationships, and make sure you're able to grow your own produce in your own garden or microgreens indoors. and yeah, have something that you can enjoy bringing in each weekend. Don't just survive, thrive. Anyway, that's it for this video. Catch you guys in the next one, and keep your chin up.